Good morning, and welcome to the Broadband Infrastructure Grant Program webinar. Thank you again for taking the time today to learn more about CENIC and the Broadband Infrastructure Grant Program, or what we'll refer to as BIG throughout the event. You've been invited to this webinar because your school or schools in your county or district have been identified to receive a 1 gigabit fiber broadband connection through the California Department of Education's BIG program. Please know that today's event is being recorded and will be available on our website if you would like to revisit the content or share it with your colleagues. Throughout the event, your mic will be turned off. There'll be time at the end for comments and to address any questions you may have. Please feel free to use the chat or the Q&A function as well throughout the event. During the next 25 to 30 minutes, CENIC staff will share the history of the program, BIG award benefits, the steps you need to take to receive fiber broadband connectivity, and the step-by-step process CENIC will take to facilitate your connection, including supersedure. My name is Jamie Augst. I'm CENIC's research specialist. I'll spend a few minutes telling you a little about CENIC and the California Research and Education Network, or CalREN. CENIC is a member-governed 501c3 nonprofit organization founded to design, build, own, and manage a robust, high-capacity, next-generation, IP-based network and services for member use. CENIC's 6 charter members include the University of California, Stanford, Caltech, the University of Southern California, California State University, California Community Colleges, the California K-12 system, California Public Libraries, and the Naval Postgraduate Institute. Unique affiliate members throughout the state include various scientific and cultural organizations or institutions, private colleges and universities, hospitals and specialized medical institutions, biomedical, space, and environmental research organizations, and tribal nations. For 26 years, CENIC has worked to meet the research and education networking needs of its member institutions by operating CalREN. CalREN consists of over 8,000 miles of multi-layer optical fiber supporting members in all 58 counties of the state, allowing them to connect to the network via thousands of last-mile circuits. For example, all K-12 county offices of education are node sites that connect directly to one or more of the CalREN backbone sites throughout the state. CENIC has relationships and purchasing power with nearly every ISP in California. Many of CENIC's members are connected at 1 gigabit symmetrical services, many at 10. An increasing number connect with one or more 100 gigabit circuits. Several of the leading research university members are in the process of connecting to 400 gigabit services. CENIC has a long history in working on broadband deployment projects and focusing on access and equity for all of its 12,000 institutional constituents, which serve 20 million Californians. By using CalREN broadband, CENIC member institutions can count on reliable, efficient services and cost-effective access, as well as network expertise that makes the complicated process of getting connected as easy as possible. Additionally, CENIC's Network Operations Center works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and all 365 days a year to monitor and manage the network. In addition, we operate the 2 largest E-rate consortiums in the country, serving the statewide needs of K-12 and California's public libraries. This ensures our members are getting the lowest possible costs by accessing the full suite of subsidies available to them. One example of CENIC's dedication to California's K-12 system is supporting online learning and testing. Prior to being connected to CalREN, some schools were unable to administer online testing or could only accommodate up to 20 students at a time. Using CENIC network services, more than 500,000 students were able to take California's assessment of student performance and progress tests simultaneously. The large amount of data testing generates is transferred across CENIC's network to testing servers without traversing the commercial internet, and is treated with the same level of care as high-capacity research data. To aid in a smooth testing experience, CENIC consistently monitors and upgrades its network and provides high-touch support by highly skilled CENIC engineers joining K-12 conference bridges to provide quicker resolution whenever testing issues might occur. At this time, I'd like to introduce you to Kim Lewis, CENIC's Vice President of Governmental Relations. She'll tell you more about the Broadband Infrastructure Grant, BIG, and its predecessor, the Broadband Infrastructure Improvement Grant, BIIG.
Thank you, Jamie, and thank you everyone for being here. As we are all too aware, the pandemic has only further elevated the importance and need for robust broadband in our communities. And we're pleased to share with you additional information on year 3 of the state-funded Broadband Infrastructure Improvement Grant. Next slide. To date, we have 29 sites participating from year 1 of the BIG program, and we have already connected 22 of those sites. In year 2, we have had 8 sites participating, and 7 of those 8 sites are already connected and using their connection. For year 3, which is why all of you were invited to join us today, we have 11 sites awarded and proceeding this year. In total, this represents 13 counties participating in the program, where we are working to bring robust fiber broadband to them in order to enable digital learning opportunities. Altogether, the BIG program will help serve upwards of 14,000 students. Next slide. Now, for a deeper dive on the program history, as well as a side-by-side comparison of BIG and its predecessor program, the Broadband Infrastructure Improvement Grant. Not to be confused, we didn't name them. This is what the statutory language was. The prior program, the Broadband Infrastructure Improvement Grant, was created under Governor Jerry Brown when the state of California moved to online K-12 assessments. The first year of the program, almost $27 million in funding was available, and based on the success of the initial suite of funding, the governor and legislature provided a second round of funding that nearly doubled the amount available. It was administered by our friends at the K-12 High-Speed Network, who contracted with CENIC to support the implementation of that Broadband Infrastructure Improvement Grant. These connections were technology neutral, meaning they could have been a fiber or a fixed wireless connection, as the goals of that program were very different. Altogether, over 430 sites were awardees. We are just wrapping up the final stages of Wave 5 and I just have 4 remaining sites. The BIG program, which we are here for today, was created in 2019 as part of Governor Newsom's leadership to focus on broadband connections that were fiber-based, or future-proof, if some might say. And this priority issue area was present even before the pandemic for the governor. We have a total of $12.7 million for this project to identify schools lacking a fiber-based broadband connection and to deliver reliable, scalable connections to them. Governor Newsom and the legislature are working hard to bring broadband for all to California, and this program supports that vision. Next slide. Now, with these big funds, we wanted to take a few moments to kind of cover the benefits of participating in this program so your school, district, and county office of education can become familiar with the costs that will be covered by this program. For many schools that lack a fiber-based broadband connection, it is often that one-time cost of the special construction that makes it prohibitive for a school. These expenses will be covered by the grant and E-rate subsidies. For site readiness, these are items such as space, power, or other requirements that may need to be addressed before the circuit can be installed or get to that minimum point of entry location at your school site. Equipment, this could include a router or a switch. Knowing that your school does not have a current fiber-based broadband connection, the program does anticipate that there is some level of equipment that may be needed at the school site in order to receive the circuit. For some schools, we know they may not have the technical staff to support the activities needed to integrate these services to the network, and these costs may be provided. As with broadband service, there are monthly bills for the cost of the circuit. Now, the BIG program will pay anywhere from 6 to 18 months of these recurring costs. This is a range of time as it really just depends on the installation timing of the circuit, as well as that transition or supersedure process that aligns with the federal E-rate process. The BIG program is looking to maximize federal subsidies available to schools through E-rate, or as it's also known as the Universal Services Fund, as well as the state's Universal Subsidy Program for Schools, which is known as the California Teleconnect Fund, or CTF. An exciting benefit of the federal rules are that they provide for an enhanced level of funds when state dollars are dedicated or matched specifically for this type of activity. I'm really hoping that everyone here is familiar with and aware of both the E-rate and CTF program. So I won't touch on that here, but one of my colleagues will touch on that supersedure process next. As noted, BIG is a one-time grant program, and the ongoing recurring cost of services will need to be supported by that school site. Fortunately, we will be providing E-rate consultation to ensure that the costs borne by a school will continue to maximize both the E-rate and CTF discounts. Next slide. While the BIG program will be providing a tremendous benefit and covering the cost of bringing fiber-based broadband to your school, we know that given the limited funding for this program, we wanted to make note of other costs that could come up and may need to be considered for each site. As noted in the first bullet, and really dependent upon the policies of your county or district, there may be annual or monthly fees for ongoing support for the connection. Other equipment that you may need to think about would be things such as firewalls or local area network devices, such as routers, wireless access points. Through some of our past experiences working to connect our vast membership, we want to highlight that it's important to be thorough and accurate with the information that's provided to us. For example, if a school later on decides that they want to build a new server room or change the location of where that circuit will go, those change order costs will not be covered by this grant. Another example could be additional reconfiguration costs to support your local internal network needs. After the installation and integration of your circuit, CENIC will notify the service provider that your school site will be able to call them directly for support. Ongoing troubleshooting or dealing with outages will need to go directly to that service provider, and we will make sure you have all the information needed to do so. As I noted, we wanted to highlight these potential additional costs, really depending upon your local circumstances, and so that there is ample time and opportunity for you to plan accordingly. Now I'd like to turn the presentation over to my colleague, Sun. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kim. Hello, everyone. My name is Sun Nguyen. I'm the project manager for the BIG program. I will go over what you have to do to get connected. Can you move forward, please? Thank you. Once awarded to receive the service, you will need to complete 3 things. First, you will need to sign a memorandum of understanding or MOU. By signing the MOU, you agree to pay a monthly recurring cost or MRC for the service after we transfer the contract to the school. Typically, it's 6 to 18 months after the start of the service through a process known as a procedure. Second, you must complete the CENIC survey. The survey will ask for your contact and site-specific information. Third, you will need to communicate regularly with the BIG project team to schedule on-site activities and to share project updates. Next. There are 6 steps to get connected. First, we'll collect the site information through the survey mentioned in the previous slide. Then we'll schedule a site survey to see if any make-ready work needs to be done. After that, we will work with you on technical planning and place in order with the carrier. Then we will collaborate for equipment delivery and room readiness construction if needed. Next, we will start implementing once the circuit is delivered. After this, you can start using the new broadband connection. And the last step is supersedure. We transfer the contract to you and you're responsible for the service charge. But one thing to keep in mind that we cannot supersede the circuit to the COE. We can only transfer it to the school or the school district. Next. Okay. Next is the procedure. Let's look into the procedure process. You don't have to worry about conducting an RFP or file forms 470. CENIC already did it for you. So there's only two things left to do to supersede. First, you need to file for E-rate or Form 471, typically by the end of March, and then sign the transfer service agreement with carrier to take over the billing responsibility. But rest assured that CENIC will reach out to you and the service provider when it's time to start the procedure process. And the contract will be transferred by July 1st, approximately 6 to 18 months after the installation of the circuit. Next is Q&A. If you have any question, please enter them in the chat or in the Q&A, and we're happy to go over them. In the meantime, we'll go over some of the commonly asked questions. We often get asked if other sites in the district need fiber broadband assistance, will they be eligible for grant fund? We are actively looking to provide services for schools that need fiber-based broadband assistance. So if you know of any site with low or no network connectivity, please let us know. You can go to the link in the chat to submit your application. I put the link in the chat so you can go there. And if you know any site, please let us know. Do I need to fill out anything to participate? It's actually really easy to participate. You only need to sign an MOU and take our BIG survey. And the last one is when will I know my cost and how was the cost determined? The monthly service fee will be listed in the MOU. The rate is provided by the carrier that bid on the RFP. So that's all the steps you need to do to get connected to the BIG. So we can go over the Q&A right now. Does anyone has any question?
I'm happy to unmute you too if you want to raise your hand and let me know if you have a question.
I also put the email in the chat just in case you want to email us for any comments, concern, anything.
All right. Don't see any questions coming in the chat box or the Q&A. Any last minute thoughts, folks? Otherwise, we'll leave you with our email, a few resources, and of course, if you think of any questions afterwards, feel free to reach out to us. Again, thanks for joining us today, and we look forward to communicating further about this.